Hi, it's Melissa and you're watching the Melmar Group, and I'm just keeping it real today. It's a Sunday afternoon, I've got some chicken thawing, and I thought I'd come out on my deck on this beautiful day and talk to you about some things. I have a website called homeschoolclassesrs.com. It's R-U-S, and on there I have a blog, and there's several things I've talked about on there that I've said I would talk about on here, so I thought I would do that today. So the first thing that I want to talk about is curriculum. And just so you know a little bit about our story, if you haven't heard it already, we decided to homeschool our daughter. I have two, and we homeschool one of them. And we decided 2 weeks before the fall school year was going to begin, the school year in the fall, that was a silly sentence, that we were going to homeschool her. And so I had been gathering things for years and kept them in a little online file and thought, okay, I can do this. This won't be a big deal. And I thought that I would get everything free or as much as I could online, and that we would just, go along and do it as inexpensively as we could, and that everything would be great. But I suddenly found myself very overwhelmed. And part of that was because I didn't know what to teach when. And I was spending so much time trying to find things online that I thought went with other things. So I have a post on my blog called All About Curriculum. And so I just thought I'd give you some of the advice that I have there, because it totally changed how I homeschooled and it helped us so much. So let me make sure that I follow what I told you on my blog. So my first piece of advice is to always buy used if you can. You can go to places like Amazon, eBay. I most recently heard from Candace from Homeschool on the Hill. Hi Candace, I love your videos. About half.com. There's things like homeschoolclassifieds.com. Always try to buy used when you can. Now, of course, there are some curriculums that hold their value, and there are some curriculums that have workbooks and they're used, so it's hard to buy those. The students use them, so it's hard to buy those used, so sometimes you have to buy those new. But textbooks, teachers' manuals, all those kinds of things, if you can buy them used, you'll save a lot of money. My second piece of advice is to, well, let me go back. Before you even start buying curriculum, because a lot of people fall into the trap that they're just going to buy curriculum, you need to know your child's learning style, and you need to know your teaching style. And the best way that I found that was through Kathy Duffy's 101 Top Picks for Homeschool Curriculum. And you have to read the whole book. I know that sounds really stupid. I know you're thinking, okay, Melissa, why wouldn't I read the whole book? But when you get the book, it's a really thick book, and in the back are all of the curriculum choices. And a lot of people like to just jump to the curriculum choices to see what's out there. But what you really need to do is you need to read the beginning of the book, because then it will help you determine your child's learning style and your teaching style, and then you can match it up with the curriculum. So once you've done that, start buying your curriculum used. My second piece, though, is to get to know the curriculum before you buy it. I am one that I need to see it, hold it, touch it, look through it, because there's so many times I've bought things and then they weren't what I expected. For example, those of you that know Abeka, if you've never looked at Abeka curriculum compared to others, you might be in for a real surprise when you order a whole big set of Abeka and it comes and it's nothing like what you expected, or it's overwhelming or too structured for you. So always try to get your hands on that. And you can do that by looking Amazon.com. A lot of times they have, I think it's called Look Here, or I don't know, some sort of icon that they'll have with the product that you can look through a few pages. Another thing is to read reviews about it. Another is to ask around if you have friends, if you can look at their curriculum. That was how I made the decision about our math curriculum, was I finally saw it in person, and I had been debating between two different programs, finally saw it in person and decided that was the one that I wanted, and we've loved it. So always try to see it, or go to a bookstore, anything you can do, a curriculum sale. Get your hands on it before you buy it. My third piece of advice is don't be afraid to give up on a curriculum if it's not working. There's no point in using a curriculum and fighting your child every day. You're wasting their education educational experience. Let me see how I phrased it in here because I loved it. You are letting the money you spent on your curriculum ruin your experience and impact your child's education. And that's so true. If it's not the right program, they're not going to be learning anything, and you're just going to have conflict. So don't be afraid to give up curriculum. Now, this is coming from a mom who's very frugal, who tries to use things and use them to the fullest. But I had to learn this. I had bought some workbooks that I just loved. They were exactly what I thought would be wonderful. My daughter hated them. So we were fighting every day. And I finally just said, you know what, it's time to move on. It's not worth the $15 for the workbook to waste, all this time fighting. So don't be afraid to give up curriculum that isn't working. And I always wondered, a funny side note, why moms would be selling curriculum that had they would be selling a workbook and it had the first 5 pages written in or something. Well, I now know it's because they had curriculum, they bought it, they used it with their child and it wasn't working, so they were trying to recoup some of the money that they spent. So don't be afraid to give up if it's not working. And know that you're going to probably have to go through several curriculums because nothing is a perfect fit. There is no perfect curriculum. And I always have to laugh when people ask me that question. What's the perfect curriculum? So the thing that really helped was once I bought our curriculum, I was able to open it up and we could do the lessons sequentially. So we use teaching textbooks for math. I could open it up and I knew, okay, we're on lesson 31. We finished that on Friday. We start on lesson 32 on Monday. And you decide the pace that you want to go at. Some curriculums are set up at a certain pace if you want to get through the whole year. And you're able to look at it and plan from there because they've got the scope and sequence all figured out for you. So that was a huge help with me with homeschooling because I no longer had to spend hours looking on the web. So I hope that that helps you. And if you have any suggestions for learning about curriculum, how you find it, how you find out your child's learning style, your teaching style, please put your comments down below and please subscribe. I'd love to have you be a part of our family here at the Melmar Group. Thanks so much. Bye.